December 24, 2024. 5 night until New Year's. The Little Leper. It's painfully obvious that Patrick never believed I would actually turn up for the meeting. I catch him off guard in front of his haven, watching him as he leans against the door, absent-minded, anxiously spinning his ring while scanning the surroundings. In the short moment his head is turned away, I creep out quietly and casually, relishing in the oncoming surprise. You in there, big man? Peak leak of subtlety, that guy. Some friendly ribbing is in order. You look so distant, I can hardly see you from here. His head whips around, and for a split-second surprise and relief flash across his face before his eyes dart to the moon. You're not exactly the timely type, I take it. You said tomorrow dusk. Well, guess what? It's tomorrow, and the sun is already down. Stretch definition isn't going to help you in the long run. What's the big deal? I'm like 20 minutes past sunset. Next time, be more specific and get off my back, will you? He rolls his eyes, slipping back into his usual indifference, and as he gets into the car, I hop in right after him. Let's pay D'Angelo a visit, shall we? Yeah, no time to dilly-dally, right? Correct. Pretty sure he's ignoring my sharp-ass remark on purpose, but the way he slams on the gas pedal, that at least gives me a tiny glimmer of hope that he's not a lost cause yet. Either way, the perfectly serviceable vehicle's doing fine, cruising through the night street. And this time, it's not even that awkward. I love they keep referencing the car as perfectly serviceable vehicle. The new nickname. D'Angelo, you're here? The shithole he calls an office. Looks just the way I left it 2 nights ago, except for some new pins on the corkboard where he sharts his crazy and a trapdoor flung wide open, probably leading down to wherever he hides out during the day. Maybe we should give it a minute. He won't keep us waiting too long. Yeah, I'm not doing that. It's us. Let's keep it in character. He needs some tough love. Hey, Mr. Detective, you're being paid a visit by a damsel in distress, and then there's me. Patrick rolls his eye, but to my disappointment, without a comeback. D'Angelo squints at me as he emerged from beneath the floor, his lips moving silently, and I strain my ears to hear it. They appear like shadows, the kind cast by the worn-out hopes and dreams of this wretched city. Dreams that could only be saved by none other than Johnny D'Angelo. Saved? That's a bit of a stretch, don't you think? He leans back over the rickety table, shaking his head as if to dislodge the noir cliches stuck in his brain. Callie, a pleasure. As D'Angelo turns to Patrick, I catch a squint of smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Johnny? Patrick, looks like you're still losing your head, just not literally, huh? Indeed, the sheriff is yet to relieve me of my cranial burden. But worry not, there's still time until the new year. You might yet win that little bet of ours. Probably shouldn't pry, given the fact that my own neck is on the line here, but... I mean, there's a treasure trove of a relationship that they're here to dig into. Anyway, we came here to... a bet. There's more to their relationship. The corkboard's got an update. These makeshift corkboards are totally plastered with photos, clippings, texts, and maps, all tied together with thin red lines. And unless my memory is as shitty as a squirrel's on speed, this crap wasn't there 2 nights ago. You know, I would ask how you two freaks met, but all this red string spider webbing over your crazy map is just screaming for attention. Don't worry about it. Is that the thing you wanted to wrap up before getting the hell out of Dodge? What's this about? Power, corruption, all the usual suspects in the darkness suffocating this wretched city. I tune him out instantly as he gears for another long noir-esque spiel. It's a story as old as the streets, my friend, and it all started when... Please stop messing with my stuff! I reluctantly drop one of the many scattered pens and put my hands innocently in the air. I'd love to have a catch up with you, Johnny, but we did have an agenda walking in here. A glimmer of light flickers in D'Angelo's shade as he turns towards me. I hate to break it to you, but if you're here for anything on Castle, you're out of luck. No new leads since we last talked. The gist of it concerns Castle, broadly speaking, although he's not exactly the crux of our conversation right now. Sweet Lord. Ellie Sanseric. Where do we find him, Johnny? There, D'Angelo narrows his eyes, squinting at me suspiciously, and fiddles with his e-cig. The serpent? What's your angle on him? What are you after? He's my ticket out of this mess. Hold your horses. I don't have time for this. He's like the only one of Reynard's contact that doesn't seem to fucking despise him. Since our other lead was a bust, he's my best shot at finding Reynard and shaking the Camarilla off my back. D'Angelo tilts his head like some curious, funky, ugly little rat. Damn, heard through the grapevine you're marked for the chop, but... Shit. Yeah, and I would love to dish out all the dirty details, but I'm seriously pressed for time. So, where the hell is Sanseric? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. D'Angelo takes a long drag of his sea-cig, as if he was really trying to savor the flavor. I wonder if he actually makes an effort to kickstart his taste bud, or if it's just part of his usual act. Sanseric and his serpents are gone from Harlem, and nobody really knows why. I've got theories, but they're just that, so... But you're just itching to tell me, right? I flash him a dazzling smile, but he just scowls in return. Takes one more drag to regain his noir-esque composure. What was that old line? Water under the bridge? I give him a curious glance. His answer was just a touch too quick and out there, as if he suddenly got nervous. But D'Angelo speaks up before I can probe any further. Look, I'll be doing your dirty throwing half-baked hints your way. Just check Sanseric usual hideout. St. Philip's and the vicinity of Morningside Park are your best bet. They're not far from each other, so you might just dig something up there. Thank you, D'Angelo. Those are solid leads. Ah, the faint whiff of sincerity in your bullshit makes it almost charming. I know they're not quite the Glengarry leads you're after, but hey, on these nights, beggars can't be choosers. So, is this intel gonna cost me the usual 2 blood bags? You keep your stash, kiddo. Just clue me in on when Sanseric hiding once you sniff him out. And we're square. I am. His ugly mug suddenly goes serious. He straightens up and steps closer, eyeing both Patrick and me instantly. Last time I warned you that shit's gonna hit the fan soon, but that's old news already. It's way worse now. You can feel it, can you? I nod almost instinctively, catching Patrick's doing the same. I'm bailing earlier than planned, and I strongly advise you to consider doing the same. I won't sugarcoat it if I could use a lift, and you could use some level-headed advice on the road. He looks generally terrified. Patrick's and I slowly exchange looks before shaking our heads. I can't. Not just yet. Things are heated, I understand, but at the moment Callie cannot leave, and I have been saddled with helping her in a way I can only describe as non-negotiable. D'Angelo sighs, slumping visibly, and waves his hand dismissively. In that case, just keep your eyes peeled for trouble, alright? Yeah, you too, pal. Until next time, D'Angelo. Hopefully, under a brighter moon. We're almost at the door when I hear his response, barely louder than a breath. Bright nights are all gone, only nightmares remain. I should write that down. Patrick and I come to a stop in front of the perfectly serviceable vehicle. We should... Now, I already know the crap you're gonna dish out. No splitting up, Callie. I can't fully trust you, Callie. But listen, it's late as hell already, so we gotta hustle. If we both go chasing Sansarek in the same spot, all we're gonna catch is sunrise. We're gonna divide and conquer. Concur. See? I knew you would... Hold up. What do you mean you conquer? A subtle smirk plays at the corner of his mouth before he manages to ring it in. I agree that we have too much ground to cover, and since you stuck to your word and didn't flee last time, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt again. I just stare at him, confused as hell, before erupting into laughter. I don't recognize you, man! Where's the stick-up-the-ass Patty? Who's this loose cannon they replace him with? Patrick twitches briefly. His smile disappearing without a trace, and fingers crawling towards the ring don't slip my notice. He bounces back swiftly, though, tucking his hands in his pocket. Let's divide for now. Any preference for where you would like to head? Okay, so he gave me the choice. Morningside Park or St. Patrick Episcopal Church. Both on Manhattan. And there's a detour of dread game. Patrick's driving like he's gunning for his personal best. I'm not complaining, but he's being strangely careless. I mean, this is Mr. Proper we're talking about. What could possibly go wrong? Don't trust that dread game. Okay, Morningside. The idea of finding Sansarek in Morningside Park seems sketchy as hell, but wait. At least it's a lead that we can actually have. St. Patrick's. I haven't been in church in ages, so fingers crossed the floor won't scorch my feet, and that I find some info on what the heck happened to Sansarek. Usually, churches are not a good bet. I have a feeling we're gonna find someone with true faith, even though they're not a hunter. So I'm choosing Morningside. High up top of Patrick's car at the edge of Morningside Park, and he sped off towards the church to search for any sign of Sansarek. From this vintage point, there's nothing particularly poetic about the park. The absurd number of stairs scattered about could inspire some lines, though. I want to check the journal. Okay, so though this is a recollection of all my decision. Okay, so we have a whole week between New Year's Eve. So yeah, night 7 is New Year's Eve. Because I'm counting the days. If we started on Christmas Day, we're on the 27th. And it's 5 days until the New Year. So the 7th night is New Year's Eve. Okay. From this vantage point, there's nothing particularly poetic about the park. The absurd number of stairs scattered about could inspire some lines, though. But at the end of the night, a park is just a park, which really makes me wonder what the hell a group of radical kindred would be doing here in the first place. I just don't know much about Sansarek, just the scraps I picked up. He's the most powerful snake in New York, keeping the ministry in a real iron grip. An aggressive, territorial asshole. No shocker Rayner had a sort of twisted respect for the guy. As for their dealings, I can't say much either. Only that they were infrequent, costly, and involved stuff way beyond our regular inventory. Yeah, right. And I'm just the logistic gal my ass. But no matter. I've got to comb through this entire park anyway. Tree by tree. Snowflake by snowflake. The search quickly turns into a boring slog. I miss the high-stake cons I used to run with Reynard. I miss the sketchy deals in those creepy deserted parking lots. Hell, even blowing sand out of my nose at festival was more thrilling than this endless sea of snow and trees. And guess what? Senseric is definitely not here. No trace of him whatsoever. I'm about to throw in the towel and drag my ass back to the rendezvous point when the winds bring the faint sound of a distant conversation to my ears. I turn around and quietly follow the noise. I spot them just a minute later. Kindred, snooping around, clearly on the lookout for something. And I really want to know what they're talking about. Unseen passage, I cannot get it. What do you mean I cannot get it? Because it's 3? No, wait. Why is it blocked? I'm fed. Silence of Dead, be softer than snowflakes, I guess. Hunger increase a little bit. I don't see a bar. The snow crunches underfoot. A sure sign it's cold out. Not that I can feel it, but if you pick up these clues with time, however, my footsteps will just not do. I concentrate, dampening the sound around me, engulfing them in a blanket of silence, making my gait quieter than a whisper. Then I move. The snow gives in under my weight, but does so silently. I move cautiously, sticking close to the tree line. Soon, I'm close enough to overhear snippets of the conversation. Question mark? Damn, I was really hoping we'd catch Sensor here. I bet the asshole turned into a snake and holed up somewhere on the ground. Can the serpents even do that? Fuck if I know. No signs of that raven trickster either. Think we should wrap it up? Let's give it another sweep before we head back. If we show up empty-handed, she'll personally throw us into the Hudson. More like she'll strip us for parts. Not the subject I would. Wait, who's there? Threat increase. They both snap their heads towards me and I instinctively step back. Whether they see me or not, they launch forward. All I can do is escape into the labyrinth of trees, hoping that they haven't tagged me with some crap that could lead them straight to me. Feels like forever, just me and the wind howling, but I finally shake them off. I get to the meeting spot just as Patrick pulls over, throw myself into the car, slamming the door behind me. Go, just fucking drive! He slams on the gas. Within seconds, we're tearing through the streets. The city's a blur. What happened? Did you run into trouble? Just a daily chase through the fucking park. Ran into some kindreds trying to track down Senseric, spitting some crazy shit about the Hudson. They were after a raven trickster too? Holy shit, you think they were talking about me? Finish rambling and look at Patrick, catching him frowning, lips deadly tight. One hand white knuckling the steering wheel, the other nervously spinning the dice ring. He's so lost in thought that he doesn't respond, and I snap, caught off guard by my own irritation. Hey, did you even hear me? Yes, sorry. I don't know. Just glad they did not catch you. He's so spaced out that I bet his thoughts are not even on this hemisphere. Fully intend to keep pestering him, but I realize he's driving with purpose, and I have no idea where we're heading. What the hell is happening? Where are we going? His shoulders finally drop a bit, his grip loosened on the steering wheel. I found some recently deceased hunters in the crypt of St. Patrick's. One of them has this note on her. I squint at the horrible handwriting. Some wild numbers, coordinates, most likely. Then the description. Black, yellow eyes, highly aggressive, exercise, extreme caution. That's a description. Well, it certainly screams Senseric, but what's the deal with these coordinates? They point to North Brother Island. It's in the East River, kind of a bleak spot, which honestly seems to fit the ministry just fine when you think about it. That is where we're headed now. Good, just get me the fuck out of here! Alright, North Brother Island. Okay. We are actually on East Island. South of the Bronx. It might not seem like much, but with all the loose ends thrown around us, we finally snagged a solid lead. North Brother Island is not the liveliest spot, but hey, it's totally the ministry style if you ask me. Oh brother. I used to be the one of those kids who was always running around and stirring up some shit after school. Shocking, I know. One of the favorite pastime of my gang of little rascals was exploring the ruins of the old Eel Hospital at night. Well, exploring might be a bit of a stretch. We never actually got inside, just dared each other to stare into the windows for as long as we could. Usually, I was the last girl standing. But let me tell you, those hours after dusk in the fall, when every whisper of the wind, every rustle of the trees was multiplied by 100, they were torture. Now, I kinda miss those days. So when Patrick and I hit the wrecked pier of North Border Island and see the derelict buildings nearby, I almost squeal with delight. Almost. The desolate ambience is somewhat ruined by perfectly new RIBs moored along the piers. Some of them have clearly been used in the past couple of hours, judging by the mud and melted snow on the seats. Just to make sure we're on the same page, what exactly is your connection to Sansaric? Be fairly honest, Callie. Be careful, Kenny, or be quiet, Kenny. Just work stuff. He was one of Raynor's clients. You said that before, but how does that involve you? I never say shoot on my lower lip. I really don't want to spill the whole unvarnished truth. I've grown used to Patrick, and I don't want him to see him in an even worse light, or God forbid, dislike me. I decided on a tiny little lie by omission. He used to place order through Reynard. I was the one who actually got the stuff, and then Reynard passed it along to him. Never even met the guy. I see. In lines with what you have said before about them having a relatively good relationship. How do you plan to exploit that? I snort, half pissed that he knows me too damn well, half amused by that good relationship crap, given all it means that they didn't try to actively kill each other. I'm just about to break it down for him when suddenly we got cut off by gunshots. And they're getting closer. We duck down and observe as some guy comes staring into the pier, screaming his lungs out in terror. He's running backwards, tripping over every bump, while desperately trying to shoot at something in the tree line, totally unaware that his gun clip has been empty for a while. He's decked out head to toe in urban warfare gear, reminiscent of the hunters I had the pleasure of meeting a few times lately. He hasn't noticed us yet, blinded by his delirious fear. Perfect moment to strike. Feed the startled hunter? Let Patrick take care of him, or better put him out of his misery. You know what? Let Patrick do the heavy lifting for a while. I hold back, realizing I'm actually curious about Patrick and how Patrick handles situations like that. I catch his eye and jerk my head towards the screamer. Patrick gives me a confused look, then sighs up the prey. I blink, and the next thing I know, he's already under the guy, fangs deep in his neck. Honestly, I didn't expect the usually stoic Paddy to tear into the hunter with such ferocity, but who am I to judge? We like to pretend we're above mortals, but in the end, we're all just slaves to our hunger. All good? Patrick carefully sets the buddy down and wipes his crimson mouth clean, grimacing in disgust. Yeah, forgive me, but that was highly unpleasant. I laugh a little. You are hereby forgiven. If those were Sansaric's minister who pushed this poor bastard to the edge, I'm not exactly eager to meet him myself. Patrick nods, looking at the lifeless body, but he does not bother to hide it, so I don't either. We share a quick glance before sneaking cautiously through the thicket towards the ruins looming over the bare trees. We tread carefully through the bushes, mindful of the crispy crunch of the snow underfoot. But let's be honest, the distant gunshot would have covered the sound of a stampede. Although, admittedly, the shooting has quieted down in the last couple of minutes, replaced by terrible screams of torment. We stumble upon several corpses. And, surprisingly, a decapitated skeleton with scraps of decomposing flesh still clinging to it. The murder of crows, feasting on the scene, couldn't care less. To them, flesh is just flesh. It gives us both a bit of a pause. Those fuckers! The screams are almost drowning out the gunfire now, signaling that the ministers might be getting the upper hand. Better than them than the hunters. I just hope they don't mistake us for enemies and decide we should share a similar fate. Great Callie, you got yourself right in the middle of a fucking war front. All of New York City feels like a sand battlefield these nights. It's just our luck that the theater of war shifted there right when we arrived. So what's the plan? We could try sneaking past, hoping the hunters are too busy with the serpents to notice us, or... Look over there! There's a spot under that collapsed floor where we could hide out and wait for this to blow over. Patrick cocks his head, pondering absent-mindedly, twirling his ring, not in a panic this time, but more like using it to focus. Huh. Finally, he drops his hands and looks at me calmly. Yeah, I say we go with whatever your daredevil instinct recommends. You sure you didn't hit your head on your way here? Positive. Let's score some points from Sans-Serix, or this is not our fight. No. If we start the conversation with Sans-Serix owing us one already, it's a good thing. So let's do it. Well, let's kick some ass then. Maybe that'll score us a few points with Sans-Serix right out of the bat. Patrick nods and follows me as I kick down the door and enter the ruined building, every sense heightened as my vitals surge in anticipation of a fight. The floor is a jigsaw of body parts. You could probably piece together a few old bodies from the mess if you were so inclined, but I'm not about to start counting. I walk over them without care, only half noticing the sickening crunch of those bones crushed under my boots. As we creep through the building, Patrick suddenly stops and flashes 3 fingers at me. I press myself against the wall, tuning into the hunter stashed in the room next door. Patrick slyly kicks a pebble to mimic footsteps. Fooled, those 2 hunters burst out, shotguns at the ready. But with just a flick of his wrist, Patrick has one hunter gunning down the other. Confusion is plastered all over the shooter's face just before I rip his throat out. The last one starts freaking out, blasting his assault rifle everywhere, trying to shoot us through the walls. I duck behind the door frame, sneaking a quick glance. He's alone, terrified. The crows cawing outside the window, amplifying the eerie scene. But let's be real. In this horror show, we are the true monsters. Feral whisperers, daunt. Okay, let's go animalism. Oh yeah, we're gonna say nevermore. Feral whispers, nevermore. I watch the murder of crows until one of them catches my eyes. Kill! The dark sky of the winter night blackens as a whirlwind of black wings and sharp claws storms into the desolate room, tearing, ripping everything unlucky enough to stand in its path. Although the man first tried to fight, blindly firing his gun at the deadly dance of feathers, the crows keep swarming in incessantly. A hive mind made flesh. The hunter tries to crawl towards the door, his body leaving a bloody smear on the crumbling concrete. But his progress soon halts. The crows plucked out his eyes like olives out of a martini. His screams fade quickly and soon, so does the flurry of wings. The crows, having done their brutal duty, fly out the window, leaving behind something that might once have been mortal, but not now is far less. The clamor we cause inevitably draws more trouble. As we turn to leave, a bunch of hunters fleets in, weapons at the ready. We go back to Grak and switch places, throwing them off balance. But before we can lunge, we hear a loud ding, and the hunter in front of the door looks like he's about to lose his head. And that's exactly what happens. His head is severed by a cut so clean that his body stands dumbly for a moment before crumpling onto the ground. Behind stands a group of serpents, all decked out in letters and gold, scary as fuck. For a split second, the room goes deadly quiet, and then all hell breaks loose. Patrick and I hardly need to intervene. The hunters and serpents clash with each other. Gunshots echo, cries fill the air, and blood flows freely. It's all over in less than a minute, and the kindred predictably emerge victorious, leaving one last victim unscathed. The silence that falls is so oppressive that it almost buzzes in my ear. I start to think I've gone deaf, but I see Patrick checking his ears, and I relax a little, relieved that I'm not the only one so overwhelmed. The serpents don't move, don't speak, only look at us judgmentally, calculatingly. In this heavy silence, filled only by the scent of blood, the sound of approaching footsteps feels like the crash of thunder. The man who enters the room is barely my height, but he carries himself with the grandeur of a king, ruthlessly ruling his domain. Eli Sanseric, the most powerful snake himself. From the silence of his movement, it becomes immediately apparent that his thundering heels were all for show, an intimidation, a warning. He magnanimously gave the assailant a chance to flee in disgrace, or most likely, let them scatter for a more interesting hunt. Hell, I'm not sure if Patrick and I shouldn't have just bolted. The last remaining hunter tries frantically to crawl away, but he collapses under Sanseric's steel-capped boots. That's when I realize why the serpent is walking so oddly. He's dragging a dead hunter impaled on the enormous claws protruding from his finger. The body slides to the ground with a hollow thud. A kindred, who I imagine is his child, or second in command, she hands him a clean handkerchief, which he uses to wipe the blood off his hands, and promptly flings in onto the corpse he just dragged in. Standing over the whimpering hunter, he surveys him with sheer disdain and tilts his head to make direct contact with me. Ellie, that's him? Okay. Doesn't look like much. Well, he's wearing a lizard leather coat. Black dude with a small beard, yellow eyes, chain. He's got some bling. He's got golden snake belt buckle. Given that you've been smeared with the blood of the cattle, I'm inclined to believe you didn't partake in the assault. Am I right? There is something to him, this youth pastor intensity, that prompts me to answer immediately and recklessly. Please, I've had enough bullshit from their crew already. No, we're siblings in arms here. Let us not get ahead of ourselves. I toss him a sour glance, making me look uncool in front of the battle pastor. Sanseric gaze locks on me, unblinking, his posture as rigid as a cobra. His stare is so intense it could make me sweat, if I could sweat, and if I weren't so damn used to pressure. Try to appear relaxed and confident when he lets out a short, sharp whistle. Instantly, two of his serpents lift the last hunter, propping his limp body into a standing position, but Sanseric doesn't sparing a glance. His eyes are fixed on me. He's been quite a real trouble, this one. Quite the rogue, wouldn't you say? Of course you would. Why don't you teach him a lesson? Clearly not a real question, and the only acceptable response is a dutiful yes, sir. Lingering kiss, love what you hate, don't spill your guts. Oh, because I don't have a press. Okay, so I don't have presence at 2, so that's why this is locked. Wait, let me check. Hmm. Okay. So the thing that was blocked to me first was a presence 2 power. So now I can either daunt or say no. No, no, no. Oh, wait. Let me read the. Okay. So we go spill your guts on the last surviving hunter. All right, that's good. Daunt. The discipline. Use the discipline 8 times in one playthrough. Okay. The perpetually spinning cogs in my head do a double time, looking for a way to impress Sanseric. What do I know about him? He would definitely relish in a show of power, that's for sure, but in what way? The cruel one or the formidable one? I'm running out of time. I feel excitement rising in me, like a tide, and the itch to do something dangerous and reckless returned with a suffocating strength. But as the thick tension hangs in the air, and I open my mouth to speak, I instantly realize I fucked up. What I'm about to do is not enough. Spill. Threat increase. The hunter's eyes are wide with horror. He starts spouting off like a terrified kid. His words jumble and shaky, making it hard to catch anything but snippets among his whimpers. Mission! The island! He said, 1! Eventually he shuts up, the sobs ceasing to break the silence. All he does is wrap his arms around his knees and rock back and forth, teetering on the edge of madness. Sanseric clicks his tongue in disapproval, and despite myself, I wince at the sound. How unimaginative. Surely a child would come up with a better game. His serpent eyes finally leave me, turn to the sad heap of flesh and bones on the ground, and that used to be a proud hunter. He advances towards the hunter slowly, lazily, and lifts him off the ground with both hands clamped into his shoulder. I watch from the sidelines as his entire demeanor shifts. Gone is the relentless intensity, the danger, and the zeal. His eyes look soft and sweet when he locks them with the hunter's and murmurs something into his ears, gently as if soothing a frightened animal. I watch him with increasing surprise as the hunter melts into Sanseric's arms and embraces him, sobbing into the crook of his neck, and clawing desperately at his back, as if trying to draw him closer. It looks intimate, reverent, a veritable encounter with the most beloved divine. Sanseric carefully pulls away, ignoring the hunter's clinging hands, and fishes out a hand grenade from the hunter's gear. Return to your patron, make him see the error of his ways. The hunter immediately gets up, feet unsteady, and lips away, through the door and into the cold darkness. His gait is awkward and clearly uncomfortable, as he never, not even for one moment, averts his eyes from Sanseric's face. Enamored look firmly etched onto his features. Come. He struts toward the pier, his entourage obediently in tow. And of course we're dragged along too, thanks to an overly persistent serpent who thinks shoving us is somehow necessary. It's not like we have a choice, right? With no more distraction, the path seems way shorter than what I remember. I can see one of those ribs bobbing on the East River waves in the distance. Must be that charmed hunter coming to ruin his boss's mood. Now, Senzor turns to Patrick and me, sizing us up with a nasty glare. But even though his tone returns to the frightening intensity from before, it carries a tinge of benevolence as well. You have the misfortune of catching me in a nasty mood, I'm afraid. But if you provide an acceptable explanation for your presence on my turf, I might just let you go. Well... I flick a glance at Patrick and catch his subtle nod out of the corner of my eyes. Name's Callie, and this year's... Oh, I know who that is. The Baron's lapdog. The court's heron boy. I'm more interested in you. Gotta say, being in this kind of spotlight doesn't exactly boost my confidence. I'm Reynard Castle's child. I run with his coterie, and I know you've had business relation with him, air quote. I was actually the one who quickly endorsed the orders for those trinkets you wanted. I didn't realize Sansarek's face could grow even more sour, but here we are. His lips curl down, eyebrows knit together, and he glares at me like I just kicked his cat. But then, unexpectedly, he throws his head back and laughs. Loud, free, mocking laughter that makes me lose my cool. His laughter abruptly cuffs off and he's back to staring at me coldly, obliquely, perfectly poised. I haven't heard from good old Rafe for months, child. Whatever you think you're procured went to someone else's hand. He follows briefly silent and then his serpent's eyes narrow. Do you even know what exactly it was that you acquired for him? My silence is his answer. Not gonna lie, his word hit me hard and I'm a little flustered. Reynard rarely deigned to share his plan with me, but it wasn't like he made a habit of lying straight to my face. Why would he hide it all from me specifically? Sansarek clicks his tongue disapprovingly, and Patrick clears his throat, moving his scalding focus onto himself. Would you mind telling us about the recent dealings Reynard involved you in? Any information could help. I roll my eyes at his stiff and overt attempt at wheeling info out of Sansarek, but he only smirks, then sighs as if thinking about Reynard brought him great trouble. Which, admittedly, it might have. Nobody really thinks about Reynard unless they absolutely have to. And by that time, it's usually already too late. I don't mind. Admittedly, it's mostly because that brat was insufferable, fixated on the antediluvians like a child obsessed with a new toy on the market. I'm staring at him, totally lost. Antediluvians? That's a first. Where did Reynard even get those antediluvians from? And why did he go asking the ministry? As if he could read my mind, Sansarek tosses me a sharp look and continues. How he came about the knowledge that my clan, and me in particular, hold the knowledge about our most ancient ancestor is a mystery to me. But he did seek me out, asking numerous questions about ancestry, power, and blood. Makes me jump a little when he waves his hand dismissively after such a long period of immobility and single focus. Let me be perfectly clear. The history of Clan Ravnos was never interest to me, and I had little desire to discuss it. Neither had Reynard, up to a few months ago. What changed to prompt his interest in these topics, I haven't the slightest. I would bet there's some profitable motive lurking behind it. What I will say, however, is that his focus on, how did you put it? Business relations waned significantly. That is news to me as well. As far as I know, it was pretty much business as usual after all the fucking time. For the first time during our conversation, Eli's face become a picture of true savagery. Gone is the pleasantness, exasperation, tinges of courtesy. All that remains is anger. unrepentant, and feral. Reynard Castle has been slipping in his promises, O child of his. I am done graciously waiting for amendments. I sneak a little look at Padraig and see him nod at me encouragingly. So I collect all the broken and uncertain pieces of myself and put them back together. You can do it, Callie. Be charming, be careful, be calm. Never make promises, even those you intend to keep. I get it. So let me speak plainly. Reynard's missing. Whether he's gone for good or just laying low, I cannot say. No one's been able to reach him. I think he's out there somewhere hiding, but he's off the radar. You've got your ear to the ground here in New York. Heard anything about Reynard in the last few nights? I have no interest in that brat in so much as the objects he swore to procure for me. And since now I'm aware he had no hand in obtaining them, it is high time that I move on to greener pasture, don't you think? Especially now that I know they intend to deliver, no? Sensaric almost seems like he might line up a wink, but no. His expression snaps back to his usual icy detachment as he leans forward slightly, his gaze as steady, as chilling as a snake's. Reynard Castle meddles with powers beyond his ken. I wouldn't be exactly surprised if this sudden uptick in the hunter activity could be attributed to his actions, one way or another. I wait, hoping he'll elaborate on this strange and frankly insulting connection he's implying, but it seems he considers our discussions done. He straightens up and signals to his second-in-command, who quickly move in to hear the hushbed's instruction. He whispers, "There's no way this can be all we take away from such a critical meeting." I catch Padraig's eyes and suddenly move closer to him, ensuring our next words are shielded from any serpent ears. What's our next move? Sanseric's clueless about Reynard too. Your star is missing with dangerous shit? Great. Tell me something I don't know. What now? He hesitates briefly. Does it bother you that Reynard has been undermining you and going back on commitment that involve your work? Yeah, what do you think? I'd rather not say. Yeah, kinda. And by kinda, I mean a hell of a lot. I know he's a bastard, and I'm no saint either, but there's been an unspoken agreement that we're not gonna screw each other over, you know? I see. Shall we take our farewells then? Hold up! There's one more thing I need to ask. I back away from our little huddle and cough to grab Sanseric's attention. He acknowledged me right away, but he takes this sweet time wrapping up his chat with his right-hand woman before shooting me an expected, albeit impatient look. Just one more thing before we scram. The circulatory system seems to have a hit list, and Reynard's sitting at the top. Any clues what's that about? Sanseric's eyes narrow in anger and contempt. Well, color me astonished. He's been blabbing on and on about his latest illustrious benefactor, who would help him circumvent the red market. Wait, what? He makes such a sour face that we're still mortals. I'm pretty sure he'd be spitting with disgust. Seems like he got caught on the wrong side of that slumbering bitch from Hudson. Frankly, good riddance with that. Something clicks in my mind as he speaks. The slumbering bitch from Hudson. Didn't those lackeys from Morningside Park carrying on as if they were a pissed-off dragon reigning over the Hudson River? Yeah, the Tsimitsi. I might have heard a rumor or two about the Hudson situation. But who do you mean exactly? My attention remains fixed on Sanseric, but I cannot ignore the abrupt frantic motion as Padraig begins to violently twirl his damn ring. Sanseric gnashes his teeth and a low-seating murmur ripples through his followers. Yeah, Vritra. That Tsimitsi bitch, Vritra. Or whatever the fuck her name is. You don't know her? Then count your blessings, child. What's her deal? Her deal is that she waltzes in like she owns the place and still has been rightfully ours for decades. His eyes blaze with a pure yellow hue, fangs elongating as his jaw loosens in a furious scream. I swear I catch a glimpse of a forked tongue flickering back into his mouth as he calms down, returning to his usual captivating appearance. I add two and two together and realize this Vritra must have been the one who ousted the serpent from their turf in Harlem. I tried to share a knowing glance with Patrick, but he's too fixated on that damn ring of his, oblivious to everything else. So I decide to press on a bit harder. I wonder what kind of a relationship Renard has with this Vritra. Do you think I do not think about her, child of Renard, nor do I wish to start. My time is precious. We're done here. So much for pushing. Sansaric fully turns his back to me, conferring with some of his serpent. I strain my ears to hear their whispers, so even out of need to hear what they're saying, but more out of sheer curiosity. But Patrick gently tugs on my sleeve. I think our meeting is concluded. We should leave Sansaric turf before he drives us south himself. Wish you got more clues, not much in terms of clues. Fuck us, we're clueless. Basically it's the same thing. Yeah, we're leaving empty-handed, huh? Well, at least we do know Sansaric has nothing to do with Raynar's disappearance. We'll strategize once we are away from this place. I nod, clear my throat loudly and speak, not waiting for Sansaric to face me. Thanks for not throwing us out on our asses sooner, Sansaric, and for the info, too. We're out of your hair now. I spin on my heels, but his stares halt me dead in my tracks. You should leave this city, child. Looking for that star of yours will yield you nothing but death and ruin. And if your leaving means that brat digs himself deeper into his own shit, he gives me a smirk, the first one yet. Then I might be willing to lend a hand. I'm ready to snap at him, screaming in his face that I don't need his damn pity. But then he hits me like a freight train. He's not offering it out of sympathy. He would get off on watching Raider suffer, no doubt about it. But then, his offer? It's like this weird mix of prickly ass wicked kindness, something you hardly ever see in our kindred world. And it's that fucked up kindness alone that keeps my mouth shut. So instead I give a silent nod and hook arms with Podrick as we dip out of that decrepit building into the dead of frigid night. Connecting the dots. Hunts Point Landing. Reynard's exploit have me even more on edge than the carnage that happened at the island. I need to figure out my next move. Even I had heard of the crazy legends that popped around the ministry over the years. I don't give a shit if they can actually control the elements or not, but the second we bailed from that shithole on North Border Island, a rootless wind kicked up, shoving us right back to our boat. It was like Mother Nature was screaming at us to get the hell out, to run, ditch this cursed dump before it sucked us dry. So yeah, we totally bail. As we are talking down on this pier, the thunderous crash of the water drowns out our voices, all fierce and intense, like it was slurping up our words to stash them away from a brighter day. We are talking down on this pier. As we are talking down this pier, the thunderous crash of the water Okay, that's a repeat. Let's break it down. First up, Jessica Rainwright says Raynor Castle is now public enemy #1 on the circulatory system's hit list. Patrick isn't the type to make big gesture like he talks, while he talks. Usually just spins his ring or shoves his hands deep in his pocket, but this time he's putting on a bit of a show, taking off points on his finger as he lays out what we figured out so far. Yeah, and I'm probably going down with him if I don't stop digging. Not like I've got much of a choice anyway. Correct. And second, Ellie Sansaric swears he hasn't talked to Raynor Castle for months. And the items? Kinda sure it's a secret. Usually it's juicy tidbits I find online, but yeah, let's go with items. Right, the items you arranged for Sansaric through Castle haven't shown up yet. He also developed a rather intense, almost obsessive interest in the antediluvians, but his objective and reasons are still a mystery. Quietly down along. Raynor Castle has been MIA in New York City for the past few nights, despite having meetings lined up. He goes quiet for a bit, spinning his ring like he's trying to tether his thoughts to something solid. In all honesty, none of this sounds promising. Not for finding him, and definitely not for his safety. He stops talking, just stares off into space, fiddling with his ring. What else is new? There's another piece of intel we've dug up. And there's that Simitsi from the Hudson. Veritra, was it? Since Eric mentioned she's after Reynard. Don't know much about her, just that she's got some sort of a show on the Hudson. We should definitely look into her. That ring of his is spinning faster now, and I can't help but feel a bit pissed. Like I'm about to hear another load of bullshit from Patrick. He hits me all of a sudden. He does that a lot, doesn't he? Spins that ring and then talks nonsense or flips his stance. I'm not convinced that's the smartest approach. What solid proof do we actually have that ties her to Castle? Aside from the rumbling of a disgruntled serpent. There we go. None. But then again, we don't have much of anything solid, so we might as well chase up what leads we have, right? That makes sense. He keeps spinning his ring, his expression smoothing out like he's trying to straighten his thought. However, I think it might be better to focus our investigation on the circulatory system. And this is him being pragmatic. Anxious? Or maybe did he just spin the ring and let fate decide by landing on circulatory system? Honestly, this feels way riskier than just chatting with one kindred. Can't believe I'm the one saying this. There's no way let sheer chance guide his action. It's got to be something about Veritra herself. Is she really that intimidating? Are you scared of her? Well, since Sarek did imply that she single-handedly ousted his entire group out of Harlem. To be fair, he only suggested that she just does as she pleases. He's not a fan of hers because she really steps on his toes. He turns away and spins his rings faster, while in realization dawns on me. From what little I know, it's out of character for him to be scared of someone he hasn't even met. Hold on! Do you know her? Like, personally? I don't... Well, I've heard of her. Spin. Word get around quickly, and she's been the talk of the town for some quiet now. She's quite the enigma. Spin, spin. No one knows where she came from or why she chose New York, only that she invades territories and stands her grounds decisively. Spin, spin, spin. And that unknown element is precisely what makes her a threat. Spin, spin, spin. I'm so tempted to rip that fucking ring off his finger and smash it to pieces. I shut my eyes and grit my teeth, trying to concentrate. I get why you're freaking out. A decent strategy or sigh rumors. Honestly, she just sounds like another stuffy kindred with killer PR. If no one knows your background, you can craft any image you want and no one will question it, because they got nothing to compare it to. Perhaps. But there have been many kindred who sought an audience with her for one reason or another and never came back. Totally scream classic Camarilla movies, you ask me. I don't get why you're all weird about looking into her, especially since you never even met her. Or so you claim. The diff... He stops spinning his ring and grips it tightly, his knuckles turning a shade paler. The main difference between her and the Camarilla is that with the Ivory Tower, you can occasionally talk your way out of a deal. Negotiate like you did a couple of nights ago. With Veritra, it's a different story. You just disappear. His explanation almost makes sense, but he won't even look at me as he speaks, just gazes off into nothing, fingers constantly dancing on his stupid ring. And while I get that everyone has their quirks, I'm not demented enough to think that I don't have any. It's really starting to get on my fucking nerves. You know what? As much as it kills me to say it, you're right. This virtuous chick is way too dicey to just waltz up to. Let's stick to something more solid for now. Yes, exactly. You sound so relieved. It almost makes me feel bad for what I'm about to do. Almost. But then he starts spinning the goddamn ring again. He's just like, this is killing me! I need to do something with my hands before I literally explode. A look of concern flickers across his face. Literally explodes? Does that have something to do with your clan? No. It's just how I'm wired. You got a coin or something I can toss? A pebble? A button? He gives me a puzzled look, but dutifully digs into his pocket and hands me a coin he finds. A quid, if I'm not mistaken. Thanks, so... Oh, shit. Looks like the serpents are having second thought about us letting us walk. As he turns to look, clearly confused, I swiftly snag both the coins and his cherished ring from his hand. Look, before he can turn back, I slip the ring on my finger and step back. Never mind, probably just my mind playing tricks. What's up with your ring? Up close, the ring is actually pretty intricate. Even kind of beautiful. It's a die spinner that mimics a D20 die. I give it a flick. It lands on the 1. I chose to ignore that as an omen. My ring! What? I lift my hand and give my fingers a little wave, flashing the double band. If it were possible for a vampire to look flustered, Patrick would be a portrait of distress right now with his pupils shrinking to dots. He reaches out with a trembling hand. Give it back. Why the fuss? It's a cool piece and all, but seriously, what's the big deal? Oh my god, that's how he's wired. Is he a malcav? He cannot talk if he doesn't spin that thing. You don't understand. I really need it back, please. I stand my ground with my arms crossed, watching him falter, his body tense, as if to jump, then relax abruptly. His hands clench and unclench, and it's clear he's struggling to keep himself composed, almost on the verge of kneeling. I know he's been putting on a show these past few nights. He's a pro, and I get that. Game recognizes game. Right now, he looks so downright pathetic, and I have really remind myself that we're both just playing our parts here. Charlie, I'm seriously here. It could turn really ugly, really fast. Give it back, just give it back! He seems so... Am I the bad guy here? This can't keep going. I need to find out. Oh, I will if you tell me what the fucking problem is. Look at this from my angle, will you? I feel like I'm about to lose my head here, and you're acting like we're gambling with my existence. You get how messed up that sounds, right? It's not what you think. Please, just hand it over and then what? You'll just skirt around the issue? That's all you ever fucking do! He stays quiet, teeth clenched, shivering on the ground as if he's going through withdrawal. Who knows? Maybe he is. You really don't think much of me, do you? Haven't I shown I'm reliable enough? Come on, Patrick. Quit the game, just this one, and trust me. What's going on with you? I might be able to help, you know. I pry his hands away from the decaying pure wood he nearly crushed in his grip, slip the ring onto his finger, and step back, just in case he decides to take a frankly well-deserved swing at me. The reaction is instantaneous. I watch in silence as his curl is on himself, creating the Beringe hand on his chest, his head bow, shoulder behaving with sharp, modal breath. It's a while before he finds his word, and I wrestle with my impatience. Just stay cool. Wait. Right when I'm about to blurt out something stupid, he begins. It is not that I leave important decision to a dice roll. Absolutely not. You're right. It would be immensely foolish and risky. He lifts his gaze from the ring and looks at me with a piercing clarity. I slump next to him, nodding, encouraging him to go on. This ring, I consider it my lifeline. He keeps me from drowning in the relentless flood of voices in my head. It doesn't shut them up entirely, but it dampens them, makes them manageable, subdued. Wait a minute. Is this why you've been so obsessed with those inner voices and that dusk-born Sana? Yes. I'm searching more of a lasting fix than just this temporary one, or at least for some clarity. Clarity on what? On what these voices actually represent. You don't know? I know. I've known these voices as long as I can remember. I understand why they grew stronger after my embrace, but I also know they're not like what others experience. Yeah, the more I look at his shirt, one side is purple with waves, and the other side is red like a broken mirror. Get it? Patrick? I'm already lost. What others are you talking about? He falls silent for a long stretch. The ring on his finger is twitching incessantly. A truly irksome sight. I might have to look away or I'll be tempted to yank it off his hand again. I am Malkavian, Callie. The whole Kadif act is such a facade. He's not a real Kadif. Oh shit, he was Malkavian all along. And he's trying to cope with the voices inside of his head. Like they say, game recognizes game. My poor friend Patrick. You're gonna live with the voices for the rest of your life. There's no coping mechanism. You just live with it. Use them if you can. Okay, and? His gaze narrows on me, tinged with suspicion. You don't seem too shocked. I mean, what are we if not the secrets we keep? Callie isn't even my real name, you know. Huh? What do you really go by then? Slow down, Turbo. We're still unpacking your little masquerade here. What's up with that? Why, the pretense, you mean? Yeah, that. I get the gist, but I'm curious about the deets. The deets are that Malkavians are exactly the crowd favorites, particularly those among us with an uncanny insight into the future and no skills in concealing it. Wait, hold up, you're saying you can see the future? No, nothing so esoteric. I get feelings, hunches, occasional whispers offering me a glimpse of what might be. Sounds pretty nifty to me. Believe me, it's anything but. It's impossible to tell if these whispers mean well for me or spell trouble for anyone around me. Wait, so your own voices are screwing with you? Yes. That's seriously messed up. No response. I take it as silent agreement. So, those whispers, did they tip you off that time when you saved those anarchs 2 years back? You seem surprised that I remember this little confession. In a way, I was pretty lucky. Lucky to guess right, and lucky that Torque cut me some slack for my erratic talent. The room falls quiet. I nod silently, piecing together our conversation in my head, everything clicking into place except one nagging question. But if you understand these voices and their origins, why obsess over dissecting them? I hear many voices, each of them distinct, but also the same. It's difficult to explain. Yeah, it's the cobwebs. Don't try. It's the Malkavian hive mind. Don't try to put a name on it. It's like, you won't make it out of it. But among them is one that's elusive. Doesn't come from any known place. Cannot be quiet, not even by my ring. I need to uncover this source and purpose. So it's nastier than the others? Not exactly, just enigmatic. And there's only one. He pauses, his finger twitching towards the curse ring he often fiddles with, then changes whatever he intended to say mid-word. Nobody seems to know a damn thing about it. I squint at him, suspicion tightening my features. You're holding on me, again. Of course I am, but I'm open about that. It's impossible to share everything one knows before. It's impossible to share everything one knows about oneself. I found that fascinating, don't you? No matter how transparent you try to be, there are always aspects of your life you keep to yourself, intentionally or not. The nuances are of our situation. Yeah, they're called shadows, buddy. What a load of crap. I mentally check out for a bit, but then cut him off some of his philosophical rambling. Oh, cool it, Gandalf. Keep your secrets. Just remember, I'm not letting fate roll the dice for me. We already have one reckless idiot in this team, and that's me. He seems stunned, but in the end, tosses me a small but genuine smile. Thank you, truly. Had I known you would be so understanding, I would have opened up sooner. I apologize for misjudging you, Kali. Apology upset satisfied our feelings. Thank you for telling me, even if that was under duress. Right. Yes. So, shall we go back to the important matter at hand? Let's just do that. No more secrets. Don't sell yourself short. Alright, you're the partner. Character development. Yay. Yeah, we should, unless you got more bombshell to drop. I'm just messing with him, but I catch a flicker of genuine panic on his face. He quickly masks it, and I choose just this one to pretend I didn't notice. No, nothing else to declare, but I admit, I'm quite curious about your real name. Nah, we're definitely not there yet. So, Reynard, why is the circulatory system so obsessed with getting him out of the picture? I mean, there's the whole blood trade thing, sure, but why this certain urgency? I'm guessing it's because they're onto something we're not. That's a reasonable supposition. Right? Every now and then, I hit the nail on the head. So, if the Camarilla hasn't swiped my laptop and all the tech I had with it, I might have done some digging online, but honestly, it probably wouldn't have made a damn difference. A behemoth like the circulatory system probably use a sealed-off intranet for all their dirty laundry. If only I could back into their database, but it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda at this point. Hold that thought. Getting into the circulatory system's database might just be within our grasps. I squint at him. He's full of surprises tonight, but must be the bloodshed getting to him. Have you ever come across someone named Kaiser? Oh, shit. I did actually. I might have. I don't think so. The info broker? Reynard warned me to steer clear of him. Sounds risky even for us. Risky indeed, but the rewards could be substantial. Kaiser is quite the figure here in New York, or to be more precise, a veritable éminence grise, his influence extending everywhere like a spider's web. There's little he doesn't know, even with the recent altercation with the La Sombra Primogen. Yeah, this is when Julia kicked his ass. What happened again? Yeah. Tell me what you know. I'll fact check. What altercation? Oh, I'm not privy to the particulars, only that it profoundly disturbed Kaiser. No shit. Huh, that Primogen sounds pretty cool. I should definitely not meet with them then. I don't want no altercation. Oh, you already have. I thought you have much to say in whether the Primogen chooses to seek you out. Anyhow, if we want to operate under the Camarilla's radar, Kaiser's on Kindred. Yeah, but hooking up with someone like that, I mean, I'm not even planning to stick around New York for long. Piling up debts while hunting for my SARS sounds like enough of a nightmare. That is fair. Well then, we don't have any other... Hold up! What about that Malkavian savant? Word on the street that she's pretty slick with intel. You know her, right? From clan to clan? Hope! Oh yeah, we're gonna see Hope! You mean Hope, the CEO of Double Spiral? Yeah, right, her. She's famous for her tech chops. Heard some chatter about her back in LA too. Yeah, because, remember, the other guy... So yeah, Hope is still there. Khalifa already left town. And what's the other guy's name? I have it at the tip of my tongue. The apprentice of Aisling. He was killed because he knew too much about Bosses Callahan's dealings. Sorry. And trying to remember the name. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's bugging me. The music doesn't help me. Well, she might not be the best fit for this job. Cracking open the database is one thing, getting her hands on it is another. But she's been a thorn in Kaiser's sides lately, getting ground in his area of influence for the past couple of years. Maybe she's picked up some new tricks she hasn't unleashed yet. It's your call, Callie. This is about your sire, after all. Honestly, none of these options are exactly stellar, but beggars can't be choosers. This is the third time they say that. Kaiser or Hope? Hope, 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 Hope. Let's touch base with the tech whiz. Seems like of a safer bet to me. Alright. So I'll set up a meeting for tomorrow night, just after sunset. Meet me at my haven as soon as possible. You're finding another place to crash tonight, I take it. He's learning. Neat. Yeah, but I'll be there, pinky promise. He flashes me a knowing grin and nods. Then we go our separate ways, melting into the vanishing night. Kinda ironic, isn't it? The deeper I sink into this mess, the lighter I feel. Oh, a feeding opportunity in the Bronx? Do I need feeding? I haven't used any powers yet. Wherever you go. The landings look secluded enough to sneaking a quick bite. Fingers crossed I can dodge any IRL streamers. I got the worst luck with those. Temporary haven in Manhattan. Let's do a quick math. Deadly sunlight plus my clan's particularities equals a new spot to keep me from getting dusted. I just hope it's better than the last one, but honestly, with the chaos that keeps unfolding, any hideout will do. The apartment I scored thanks to the sign of our crew. Wonder who left it there. Reynard? Jess? It's thankfully much better than the dump I have to crash it back in the Bronx. It's clean, spacious, and sun-proofed, so at least I won't fry to a crisp while daydreaming. Not exactly my cozy RV, but hey, in a couple of nights I could get used to it. If it weren't from the damn near certainty that I'll turn into a pile of ash come sunset, that is. Lying in the queen-size bed, hands laced behind my head, waiting for sleep to hit. My mind can't help but spiral around the shitstorm of the past few nights. Turns out, there's more I don't know about Reynard than I do about Patrick. And I've been Reynard's child for almost 2 freaking years. My embrace? Yeah, that's not a trip down memory lane I enjoy. Not just cause it felt like getting ripped apart, but cause it caught me off guard. I wasn't one of those poor sods whose entire existence revolved around becoming kindred, who slaved away as ghouls for decades, if not centuries, just for a chance of that one final kiss. In truth, I had no desire or purpose back then, just drifting through life much like these nights, following impulses. Hit up that city. No, scratch that. Head to the other one. Swipe from that dude here. Scam that lady over there. Put on a show. Disappear. live. I caught Reynard's eye at the music festival. I was raking in some serious cash, pulling off sleight of hand, hustling the clueless out of their money. Rich kids were everywhere, dripping with cash and confidence, making my job a damn breeze. Just one day I made enough to cover my tickets 3 times over. It lasted until Renner came along and decided to take me down a notch, exposing all my tricks, gambling off me my hard-earned money, humiliating me in front of my cash cows. And then he had the nerve to promise me some bright, shiny future with his gang. I've told him to go to hell, obviously. I have it up to here with assholes that had zero interest in joining a gang. Cruising along through the States suited me just fine, or so I thought. Been years since I convinced myself that being alone meant freedom. But soon enough, whether I like it or not, I learned a whole new meaning of freedom. One that went way beyond just being lonely. Because that very same night, Rayner spotted me in the crowd and decided to embrace me right under everyone's noses. No one even batted a freaking eye as he hauled me, my dying ass, out of that festival. Man, I'm in a rotten mood today, ain't I? Gotta remind myself it's not all that bad. Those last 2 years with Reynard's coterie were better than a big chunk of my life. Turns out that being part of that tight-knit group, a found family calls it, can be pretty damn sweet. Not so much when the leader turns out to be a lying, dodging snake, though. That's a recent bombshell with that merchandising not reaching the buyer, the sudden antediluvian obsession, and being at the very top of the circulatory system hit list. God damn it, Raynor Castle, what the hell did you get yourself into? Meanwhile, Julia at the Elysium. Slow night, boss? Kadir, ... He clearly detests when I call him that, but can't help tossing in his way every now and then. Who knows, maybe he'll light up some of that old buddy vibe we lost along the way. Not that I'm dying for it, it's just he turns into a total snorer fest once he flips on that professional switch. Handling the Callahan case the way I did, I knew it wouldn't exactly endear me to him. Turns out, it might have cut him deeper than I ever thought it would. How many this time? Another 2. A Duskborn and one of Aisling's fledgling. The way they were found? Their last moments were far from pleasant, to say the least. This is absurd. We're sequestered here like a bunch of idiots, struggling to find common ground, pretending we have this mess under control. We can't let this continue, you know that. We have to crush this mob, snap their pitchforks, and smother their tortures before everything spirals out of control. I mean, you're the sheriff. By my book, that's your shot to call. You've got plenty of backup in there. Honestly, I don't know what's holding you back. That's our fundamental difference. Unlike you, I still have a modicum of respect for the rules, even when they bind my duties for the choices of fools. Language. Yikes. Hit with that fiery glare again. I need to work on my timing, and he needs to sort out his anger issues. Valerie. Do you mind if I intrude on this delightful conversation? Jesus, I hate when she pulls that Cheshire cat shit popping out of thin air like that. What is it, Valerie? We might just have identified the mastermind behind your Hunter Locus, as you so aptly coined it. Just a glimpse of the file she handed Kadir had me reeling. Him? Seriously? Positive. But then, piecing it together, it obviously makes sense. The Locust will only rally under a supremely charismatic asshole. And there's no asshole quite as magnetic as Aaron Fletcher. That name rings a bell. I need to look it up. Sorry. Aaron Fletcher. Whoops. Okay, a San Francisco Giant pitcher. No. There's a White Wolf wiki. Okay, that's good. Laws of the Reckoning, Shadows of the UK, Sins of the Blood, Eternal Struggle 3rd edition. What?